Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're probably gonna be starting the stream soon. Just gonna be hanging out here. We're just gonna be hanging out today, doing a bit of free agency recap, that kind of thing. My co-host will be on shortly. So yeah, come on in, hang out. Feel free to ask stuff. Yeah, we're just gonna be hanging out, chatting, doing some and that kind of thing today. So yeah. Hello to anybody that is going to be joining. Hello. Oh, hello to whoever's joined. And here we are. Our second person is about to get in, so we are almost ready to get started. So, today we're just going to be going over, basically just breaking down all the free agency moves, all that kind of thing. Just, wild free agency period. None of the big moves happened, though. Russell Wilson didn't get traded. Deshaun Watson didn't get traded. Aaron Rodgers was a bit more of a long shot, but he didn't get traded either. No huge names, at least quarterback wise, got moved. And also, a bit of a surprise, no big name running wide receivers found a home. Like Juju, I believe, is still, at least last time I checked, is still on the market. And yeah, just a lot of players like that are just still out there. And here is our co-host just gave me word that he is about to be getting on. So yeah, and then but defensive wise, there has been so much movement. I mean, hey Derrick Henry. But yeah, there's just been so much movement. Like, I mean, Bud Dupree to the Titans. Huge move. I believe he'll be an impact man. Janoris Jenkins got cut and then was signed by the Titans at least the same day. Thank you. Yeah, we're just trying out some new stuff. Just trying out some new stuff. Just experimenting, trying to build the channel a bit. But yeah, so just fun stuff that we're just trying out some new fun stuff, trying to get a bit more interaction with you guys. But yeah, so what else? Who else? Not Josh Norman. Richard Sherman has apparently been in contact with moving that just huge name players has been on the move since day one. It's nuts. And I think this is maybe not as eventful as last year because last year the GOAT was moving, but yeah, just crazy. It's nuts how much. I think how much, not big name players, but difference makers are moving. I think it's just been awesome. But yeah, I mean, basically any free agents that Juju. I'm not sure where Juju. I think Juju is going to. I have a prediction for Juju. I don't know what you guys think of this. People on the stream, feel free to answer. But I don't know where Juju is going to go. I'm thinking maybe. I really don't want to say this, but maybe the Patriots. I mean, they've had so much movement just over the last couple days. I think he has a fair shot going there, and that would build their wide receiving core even more. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll probably answer them. But yeah. Sweet. Thanks. But yeah, so okay, yeah, so Derrick Henry. I'm not sure. How do you like set? Is there any way to like just send private messages to you guys? Because yeah. Yeah. So is there? Do you know if there? Okay, I don't know if there's any way to do this, but hold up. Let me Google. Let's see here. Let's see here. Live chat. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So I'll just put the link in the stream. Hold up. Work. Actually, do what we're supposed to do. Computer. Hangouts. And it is going in the chat. Just click on that link and we will let you in. But yeah, so we're just kind of today we're just kind of hanging out, having a good time. Probably gonna go till about I think 3:30. We're gonna go till, and yeah, I think that's probably gonna do a 2-hour stream, then call it a day. So yeah, I'm I'm happy about this. I mean, I think we can. I'm hoping to get just having a good time. Also, possibly, no, probably not, but possibly, yeah, possibly just answering. We're probably just gonna be answering questions today, just hanging out, having a good time. Whatever. Any questions about free agency or football in general, you got, fire away. Oh, I don't know if we're thinking about doing something for the channel. We're thinking about putting together. So on ESPN Fantasy, they do this thing where you're allowed to do groups, and we're thinking that we might do a March Madness bracket. So if you guys would be interested in that, we'll probably we'll probably drop a video tonight or we'll probably drop it tonight, and then you'll probably get a day to join. So it'll be a pretty small group most likely, and yeah. Yeah, so that's probably just going to be do a small little bracket. Me and Jules will definitely. Oh, the thoughts on the wide receiver situation. So we definitely got a clear number one. I mean, no doubt about that with AJ. He's arguably one of the best young wide receivers in the league. I'd say he's probably definitely top 10 wide receivers in the league total. Then after that, Corey left, Johnny left. We cut Adam Humphrey. So after that, and then Khalif left. But after that, I think we're going to assign a new wide receiver for sure, like without a doubt. And then I think we could probably, depending on if we sign like one more defensive lineman this offseason, I'd be happy. I'd be good with us drafting wide receiver because I think this is as it has been the last few years. I think this has been a very deep wide receiver draft. So yeah, I mean, I think we need to build stuff there. Just not sure where. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's my take. I mean, I just think we just need more. I mean, our offense was really good last year. Just wasn't the best. And it was a very good. Sorry, lost track of what I was saying there. It was a very good offense last year. We just were hindered by the defense. But yeah, we were hindered drastically by the defense. Just because our defense couldn't do anything. Our defense was just a paper breeze. So, in my opinion, it was just. But yeah, we build our defense up again, then we're the best. I'd say we're easily the best team in our division. And you could possibly make the argument for best team in the. Maybe not the best team in the conference, but definitely number 2 or 3. Because I think the whatchamacallit, the Steelers aren't going to be a factor again. I think the Browns are going to be good for sure. I mean, and then I just don't see a ton of amazing threats on there, other than obviously the Chiefs and then the Browns. I mean, the Ravens are good. I think they're gonna be okay for a long time. And then after that, there's a bunch of teams that are building. Oh yeah, and the Bills. Forgot about the Bills. But yeah, the Bills, the Browns, Chiefs, and Titans, I think, could become the powerhouse of the AFC in a year or two. And then it'll be a bunch of teams that are building. I think the Rams are. I mean, not the Rams. The Dolphins are really good. I think they're going to be good in a couple of years. I just don't know. Just with their wide receiver, I mean, their quarterbacks, just that kind of thing. I just don't know. And then, who else is there? I mean, the Texans are. Who knows what the Texans are doing? The Jaguars are. I think they might be able to be good in a couple of years. Just, I don't know. And then after that, I mean, who else? Let's see here. So then we got some other teams. Obviously, the Chargers I think could be good, but I think that the Chiefs are just going to put them down every year. Just are just going to stop them from being a threat. Then I think after that, the Broncos aren't that great. The Raiders are in a bit of a mess right now. And then one of them. Okay, then the Patriots. I don't know what to think of the Patriots. Because these offseason news make me think that they're going to be amazing. But they don't have an amazing quarterback, in my opinion, and they don't have a real wide receiver friend, or they don't have an offense, really. I mean, their offensive line's good. But then after that, it's just mediocre. Let's see here. So they re-signed Cam, which I think was at least to me, was a big surprise. They have Edelman, who's a good wide receiver, not great. And then they got Gunnar Olszewski, who's okay, and he's an amazing kick returner, just not a great actual player when it comes to playing the games. So that, and then running back situation, don't know what they're doing right now. And then that just mediocrity on them. The Jets are the Jets. Don't know what they're really going to be doing there. Just with all the, I mean, they're a good team, but I just hope that they can get their feet back beneath them, because they've just been so bad the last few years. Adam Gase was a huge mistake, as has been pounded to death by everybody. And then just mediocrity permanent mediocrity for the Jets. Then I'm in that division. Then there's the AFC North, which I think is going to be a toss-up division next year, because the Browns are good, the Ravens are good, without a doubt. But after that is the Bengals, who need to do more offensive line wise for sure. I mean, Joe Burrow got injured, got absolutely torn to shreds last year, and then they haven't done much. Yeah, Derrick Henry is nuts. How and it's crazy. I mean, a couple months ago we didn't even have 100, and we just blown up. It's been crazy. It's been awesome. It's been awesome, but it's also been nuts. We just had so much growth, which has been absolutely amazing, but crazy. And then let's see here. Then hit the Bengals. Then Steelers. I just don't know what to think with the Steelers because they have a very good lineup. I'd say they have a good lineup with Big Ben. Big Ben's okay, I think. Just he's a good quarterback in his when he's playing his best, but he is a hindrance when he's playing at his worst. That's what I kind of figured out from watching him. It's just been a very up and down quarterback. Then, yeah, I just don't know what to think about that entire team. I mean, I see either you're going to be a very good team, or a very bad team. Just because their wide receivers need work. I mean, Chase Claypool, I don't know with him. And he had a crazy game, but then didn't really do much after that, in my opinion. And then I don't know what to think with their team. Just so much potential, but also so much space where it could go wrong. Then let's see here. That division. And then that's the AFC really. I think the AFC has a good team in every division. I mean, we got obviously the Chiefs at the top, and then we got the Browns, who I think are going to be good, and then Browns I think are going to be good. Then we got the Bills, who I think might have a little bit of challenge next year, and then I just don't know anywhere else. AFC South. I completely forgot about the AFC South. They have, again, good players and good teams. I mean, I think the Colts could be good next year with what's his face? Carson Wentz. I think if Frank Reich can harness Carson Wentz, he could be very good, but just whether or not it's going to prove really if it was a lucky season or if it was a actual season or if it was that season was the last season I've been unlucky, which I don't know what to think on that. Just I think it could be either one of them, really, but I want to see what the Colts look like next year before I make my decision on them. Then who else is there? Then let's look at the NFC. NFC is a lot more congested. I think there's going to be a lot more okay teams next year in the NFC. Whereas, like, in the AFC, there's going to be there's 4 or 5 top tier teams and then a whole bunch below them. But in the NFC, it's the exact opposite. It's a lot of middling teams. Like, think about it. I mean, the Bucs are going to be the favorites. But I can see basically a lot of teams coming out of the NFC with a good season. And then the Saints, the Saints are weird. I mean, the Saints, they have so much trouble with salary cap, but I think they have such a good team that they're retaining that I just don't know what to think. And there's Michael Thomas, who had a bad season last year, but he was out most of it. He had the injuries, he punched his teammate, all that stuff. He just wasn't able to do anything. And then what else is there? Then there's that team's pretty good, but yeah. And then sorry, I'm just completely lost track there. But then the NFC North is probably going to go to the Packers, just because the Packers. I mean, there's nobody really good in that division. I mean, think about it. The Bears are the red rifle at quarterback. Who I think might have a bounce back season. I just don't know. But they also don't have a ton around him either. And then the Vikings, I think, are going to be very mediocre next year, as they have been the last few years. And then the Lions, hopefully they don't bite anybody's kneecaps off, because that would be a penalty. But yeah, I just don't know what to think with the Lions, because I mean, there's so much potential there. But there's also so much room to go bad. I mean, Jared Goff is a good quarterback at his same as most of the quarterbacks in this. Same as Roethlisberger. There's so much good he could do, but he's shown he has a high floor and a low floor, but also a very high ceiling. I don't know what to think on him. I just don't know what to think, because like he is much like, I mean, look at it. I mean, his best season was obviously the year that they went to the Super Bowl, and without a doubt. But the last two seasons he's played good in some games and then absolutely terribly in others. It's just so weird how high and low how high you could be, and then also how low it could go. So yeah, that's what I have to say. And with that, let me welcome on my co-host. Hello. But yeah, so you have anything to add to that? Okay, yeah, but yeah, I think as Jared Goff, I think they definitely won the trade, because Jared Goff, I'd say, is not equal, but kind of close to. I could say his peak is probably equal to Matt Stafford's. I say 75%, but they also got so much draft capital with it that it might turn out to just be worth it, just based off of get what they're guessing from it purely. But yeah, so that's my take on the Lions. I think they have such high potential, but also they could really plummet next year. But let's see. But yeah, so then that moves us on to some of the upper divisions of the NFC. The NFC West is in my opinion, the best division in football. I mean, they've got the 49ers, who I think have a capability for a bounce back season. They have the Seahawks, which I don't know what's going to happen there. I think it's just going to come back to how well Russ readjusts. And if they could come back, Russ is happy, everybody's happy, then they could easily win the division again. But if the offensive linemen are mad, Russ is mad that he didn't get out, all that stuff, which I think has a fair chance of happening as well, it's going to be terrible. Because Russell Wilson is arguably, the most important player on that team by far. And I just don't know what to think. And then, let's see here. The Rams, who I mentioned earlier, they traded for Stafford, who I think is one of the most underrated players of all time. Just because he puts up so much every year and just doesn't get the appreciation because the Lions are so bad. That's the reason why he's not regarded as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, because he can never do anything with the Lions being so bad. Let's see here. What else is there? Then we also have Then we have the Cardinals, who I think are a super team, because they signed J.J. Watt. They have D Hop already. They sign Pat Peterson. They sign what's his name? They sign a really good wide receiver. I'm forgetting the name of. And I think they're just building a great team because as long as if they play up to their talent, then they're the best team in the division by far. I don't know if he's gonna. I don't know if they're gonna play up because they had a lot of talent last year as well, and we all know how that went. Just because, if they play up to their potential, they're a Super Bowl team. If they play like they did last year, they're not going to make the playoffs. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know what to think about because he has so much potential. And I know I use that word a lot, but potential is almost the hardest thing to track in football just because, look at it. And Cliff Kingsbury, he has so much room to grow in because he treated when Kyler got injured in week 17, with a playoff berth on the line. He put the backup. He had him play like Kyler Murray was still in. I don't know what to think about that because if you're playing quarterback that's not that much like Kyler in the same role that Kyler is, that just shows how hard it is for him to adapt to having different talents in. And I just don't know what to think about him because he's the best part of the season for him and the worst part of the season were so far apart. Just how they played. It's nuts because if he plays up to his top, it was AJ Green. Okay, yeah, AJ Green, the wide receiver that went to the Cardinals. If they play up to their, and the Dolphins and the Bears, that was one of the. I think that was one of the most Bears fans. I get why you're mad about that, but I don't hate it for you guys. First off, he's better than Trubisky. But to be perfectly honest, I think everybody was better than Trubisky, but that's beside the point. But if you guys play your cards right, you guys have one of the best defenses in the league. And then you have a mediocre to good offense. That's all you need for a playoff run. It's not ideal. You would way prefer to have what most teams have in a great offense and a good defense, which, in my opinion, is more valuable, just based off of how much your defense is not less important, but is less important. But if you can score big, then you can usually win games. If you play defense big, you can win games as well. Oh, and speaking of Mitch Trubisky, he's going to the Bills. Mitch Trubisky is now on the Bills. Bears, congratulations, you found a new starter for next year. But the Bears, I think that's a good spot for him because I think that's the spot. Say Josh Allen, I don't want to have him, but say Josh Allen is injured next. He goes down, say week 4, he goes down with a Dak Prescott injury, out for the season. Then you guys aren't done. It's not going to be. It is not going to be like the the Cowboys last year where it was just terrible. You couldn't do anything, but you can maybe win a couple games. And if it's a less serious injury to Josh, then you can maybe survive till he comes back and then win a couple and then use that to get to the playoffs. I think this is a great pickup for the Bills. Yeah, I think this was one of the best backup quarterback moves I've seen in a while. So yeah, that's my personal pick for one of the top players in the draft. But yeah, so I think what other divisions are there? Let's see. Then there's the South I already covered, North I already covered. Then there's the NFC East. I don't know what to think of this team because I think the Washington is the clear division. I think Washington and Cowboys are both up there because Washington I think is going to be good because I think they signed Fitzmagic, so that's a couple wins for you right there. Just don't re-sign him next year. That would be a mistake. And then I think they've got a good backup there. In what's his face? Wow, I forgot his name. The guy that won the playoff game for you guys. He's back as well. So you guys got a good QB room, which is really what I think you guys needed last year. I mean, if you had Fitzmagic last year, you might be in the Bucks. I mean, just because of this sheer skill, just the sheer good that would do for you, I think would be absolutely immeasurable. Just because, I mean, think about it. I mean, that's one of the best backup quarterbacks you can have in the league by far. I mean, without a doubt, is the best backup quarterback in the league. And he's so good. I mean, it's a very good backup quarterback that could win a couple games for you in a pinch. And then you have the other guy. You have the other guy who I'd say put up a very good effort last year in the playoffs, almost and probably once with it outside a playoff win, which would be absolutely nuts. I mean, you almost knocked off that was the closest playoff game that the Bucks played. I think at least from how you guys played, it was. I'm not sure if it actually was statistically, but you get the point. So yeah, I think that the Washington team is going to be the winner next year. But then the Cowboys, I don't know what the Cowboys would have done last year if Dak didn't get injured. That's the other thing. I mean, Dak's a good quarterback. If he hadn't gotten injured, who knows what you guys would have done. I mean, I'd say you could have probably not, but you could have possibly made the playoffs, which would have been a shock to everybody. Because, I mean, basically, you just needed a couple breaks to go your way, and you would have won. And you would have made it to the playoffs. You needed a lot of luck in your way, but if you keep Dak, I mean, that's a winnable division. I mean, keep Dak, who knows what happens. Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They're talent-wise, they are the best team in the division. I mean, think about it. I mean, they have Dak Prescott, one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league. They have Ezekiel Elliott, one of the best running backs in the league. Well, this was. You have so many of these good running backs, so many good players, just on your roster that doing what you did last year was underperforming. So I think it's absolutely. I think those two are the easy picks to win it. But then the Eagles, I don't know what to think of the Eagles because they got Jalen Hurts, who played okay last year. He played really good some games. For example, the Saints game, obviously, but then played pretty badly in others. Just because, and I don't know what to think of him, just because there's so much up and down to him. He could be really good, and I liked him coming out of college last year. I just don't know what to think of them. Yeah, if you feel in the chat, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We are going to be here for probably for a good bit longer. So yeah, feel free to ask away. But yeah, so let's see here. Let me have a look at the free agency moves. See if I have any other than when I hit. I still don't see how Juju hasn't gotten signed yet. It's nuts that he hasn't gotten signed, in my opinion, because it's just a good wide receiver. That has a bit of an ego problem for sure. It's definitely something that he has. But other than that, he's arguably the best. Actually not arguably, without a doubt, the best wide receiver on the team. I just don't know what to think about him. But the Raiders' offensive line is getting absolutely torn to pieces. Let's see, they traded away Rodney Hudson, their center. They just got rid of so many players. I mean, it's nuts. But they're tearing apart their offensive line. I mean, I hate it because that was one of the best offensive lines in the league before this year. But I just don't know what to think about. Yeah. But then the Titans, I don't know what to think about the Titans because they signed Bud Dupree, great linebacker. They signed Danico Autry, good defensive lineman. They signed an offensive tackle, which we needed for sure. But then they cut way too many players. I mean, they cut 2 corners and signed 1. They cut an offensive tackle who played good. I think we can replace him just with the players we have on our roster, and we signed Kendall Lamb. But I especially hadn't cut so many of it. And then also the wide receivers, they completely neglected their wide receivers. Like, to a point where they have, basically out of the top 3 receiving threats from last year, they have 1 of them. I mean, think about it. You've got, Johnny, who was a good tight end last year. He was a very versatile guy. I think was a good wide receiver to play with, and a good tight end to play with. Corey Davis was pretty good. So yeah, just that kind of stuff I wish they had not cut. Hey, Sleek. So I just wish they hadn't cut as many players. I think they'd be a way better team if they hadn't cut those players. I don't know what to think. Yeah. I can't say anything about that, but I think they do have a plan because these players they didn't cut any they didn't cut Derrick Henry. They didn't cut Taylor Lewan. They didn't cut those type of players. Yeah, Titans Connect is nuts. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, they didn't cut any of the huge players that they need to succeed with. I think they cut very replaceable players that were getting way too big of a contract. Like Malcolm Butler. 5 years for a okay wide receiver. Dennis Kelly. Not Dennis Kelly. What's his name? Dennis Kelly. He was a good number 2. He was an okay lineman, but I don't think he was worth it at the salary tag he was getting.
Mitch to the Bears or Bills.
Yeah, it's still nuts how that happened. I think he's one of either 1 or 2 top backups in the league now, just because I think they can survive with Mitch for a couple of weeks. I'm just hoping that they don't have to. So yeah, anything to add about the Titans?
Not much, but I saw Derrick Henry was on here.
Yeah, pretty cool. But yeah. So the Raiders. I hate what the Raiders did this year. I mean, they took one of the best, in my opinion, offensive lines in the league, and they absolutely dismantled it. And let's see here. Let me pull up their stuff. Let's be so. I think that we have one of the craziest. Yeah, let's see here. So they traded Rodney Hudson, which is one of the better centers in the league. And then basically they cut Richie Incognito, but they re-signed him, so it doesn't really matter. And unless you just give him a bit of a pay cut. But then they traded Trent Brown, one of their best linemen. They traded him. Let's see here. Let me pull it there. Let's see here. So yeah, they dismantled their offensive line. Just absolutely dismantled it. Let's see here. So
I think that the Texans should have signed Mitch Trubisky just in case, like, they couldn't.
I mean, they signed Tyrod.
Yeah, I mean, but I think Trubisky would have been the better option.
Yeah, but the thing with Trubisky is he's such a up and down quarterback. I think Tyrod's a much more know what you're going to get. It's not going to be amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be good. You're going to get a very straight line, good quarterback that will help you out. But Mitch Trubisky, he's had ups for sure, without a doubt. But he's also had some severe downs. I mean, look at the playoff game. I mean, look at his most recent game, the playoffs. He was just so meh. It was a meh quarterback in that game. Which is the worst thing to see from a guy that young. And what I think is a lot of potential. I think he could be a good player. Just isn't. So yeah. So change of a sport really quickly. Who do you have for the March Madness tournament? Do you have won it at all? I recently filled out my bracket. I mean, it's a pretty boring bracket. I'm hoping that it breaks the way I have it, but it's just I don't really have any huge upsets. I mean, the biggest upset is a number 8 seed winning over a number 9 seed, but I have Gonzaga winning it all. I don't love it. I just think I just went based off stats and stuff, so yeah. But as somebody that knows absolutely nothing about basketball, especially college basketball, I think that went pretty well for me. So yeah, anything to add to that?
Nothing to add to that. I think we covered most of it, so I think this is a good time to stop.
Yeah. And with that, our live stream is over.